Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the QB List kickoff pregame live stream, whatever the name of the show is. We've been doing it for 12 weeks, and I still don't know. With me, fresh back from his trip over here to the southeast, is my co-host Matt Dean. He's back in Houston, Texas today. Matt, you feeling good to be home?
I'm feeling good to not be wearing a Cowboys jersey. They've lost the right this week after their poor performance. But yeah, it's nice over in Chattanooga and Nashville, but always good to sleep in your own bed.
Well, we've got a wild and wacky Week 12 here with a bunch of news, so we'll go ahead and start. I'm going to start off with the the COVID stuff. Lots of stuff to unpack here. Most recently, Mark Andrews was diagnosed with COVID, and he also, I think he's like a type 1 diabetic, so he could be at high risk. So that's definitely not a good case there. But also, the Ravens have 9 players at this point, or last reported that I saw from Schefter, 9 players and 8 staff who tested positive. That Steelers-Ravens game was, of course, moved from Thanksgiving to Tuesday. So hopefully it's still going to be played. Lamar Jackson's out. So I don't really see, them giving much of a fight to the Steelers. Steelers are probably going to remain undefeated after this.
Yeah, it's basically their it's like they're already in week 17 and clinched a playoff spot. They're playing their B team, basically. Who's starting? They said RG3's making his comeback to the starting rotation. Am I wrong there?
No, I think it's going to be, as far as I know, it's Robert Griffin III starting. So
I just honestly don't see this game happening, though, right? I mean, right now they're saying it is, but I know we'll talk about, if you should play Steelers or Ravens this week in your lineup with the unexpectedness of Tuesday's kickoff. But what are you doing? Do you have any Steelers or Ravens anywhere? And what are you doing with your players there?
I had Mark Andrews, but that diagnosis today made that easy. So I don't think I have any Steelers or Ravens anywhere else, actually, besides Claypool, but I had him on the bench. So
yeah, I have Lamar in one league, and that was an easy sit. He's an easy sit these days anyways. But I don't know if I had Juju, if I had Claypool, or if I had – almost said James Conner, but he's out too. It's just hard for me to get those guys in the lineup because if that game doesn't get played, you're screwed after, because right now they're saying it's still being played, and then you would only, if they come out tomorrow morning, you would only have Monday night players to hedge your bets there. So I'm not a fan of that. I think I'm recommending to find better options if you have Steelers and Ravens, but I don't even know if there's any Ravens honestly worth starting at this point. In general, I think I'm sitting all Ravens anyways, but Steelers, I think I'm trying to find other options. Do you disagree there?
No, like I said, it's probably going to be a low volume game anyway. The Steelers should take care of business, but I don't know. I've thought that in the past, and Big Ben continues to air it out. So, and this Ravens defense hasn't been as good as advertised either. So,
yeah.
But if you don't want to risk it and you're in a must-win game, maybe you should look elsewhere. We got one question coming in early here. He says Chase Edmonds or Benny Snell running back 2 this week, standard scoring, and then also Tanyan or Rudolph. I had that same dilemma in one of my leagues.
Yeah, I think Edmonds had a good week last week.
They're playing New England, and Snell. I think I like Snell better just because, like I said, I think this game should be over pretty quick, and Benny Snell's going to be – James Conner has COVID, so.
But then again, it's like Edmonds plays today at 1, and if the Steelers don't play, I think I've got to go Edmonds.
Yeah, go Edmonds if you want to be safe, and if you want to risk it, go Snell. As far as Tanyan and Rudolph, I chose Tanyan over Rudolph this morning. Rudolph could have an expanded role with Thielen out, but I don't know. I think they're just going to keep it on the ground.
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook.
I'm with you on Tanyan.
So along with all the Ravens and Steelers COVID stuff, we have every one of the viable quarterbacks for the Broncos is out due to contact tracing and COVID precautions. So that includes Drew Lock, Driscoll, and Ripien. Am I missing anybody there? I think that's all of them.
Well, you forgot about also being ruled out was the quality controls coach or whatever.
Oh,
they tried to start a coach at quarterback in the NFL said they don't want teams stashing players in their coaching pool. So that's a no-go.
Yeah, so now we're looking at possibly a practice squad guy by the name of, is it Mike Hinton?
Kendall
Hinton. And was he a quarterback in college? I know he played at Wake Forest.
Yeah, he was quarterback for 3 years at Wake Forest. He had I think he averaged about a 53% completion percentage, which is average at best. And then he transferred due to injuries to wide receiver his senior year. So something of note here is that I'm pretty sure coach for the Broncos also if you remember back in, I think it was 07, 08, something like that, the Jonathan Stewart and who was the other running back there when they were running the Wildcat?
D'Angelo Williams?
Yeah, D'Angelo Williams. I think he actually won a game running primarily Wildcat the entire game. So who knows? We could see a lot of different things. Royce Freeman could be running some Wildcat, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. I mean, it's going to get wild and wacky. It's going to be like the inmates versus the guards and the longest yard, I think.
Yeah, this I mean, and that kind of stuff is like difficult to prepare for when you don't know what's coming. I mean, when you're expecting it, it's one thing and you can stop it, but when you're expecting to see, a regular offense out there and then you get thrown this on, a Saturday when your flight's about to land for the Saints, now they got to possibly prepare for Wildcat formations and crazy option plays and who knows what else. It could definitely be a surprise for the Saints. But that defense has looked good, so I don't really know what to expect. I know last night they were saying it was being taken off the betting books, but then I looked on OddsShark last night and it was still there. So I don't know if people are still allowed to bet that game or.
Yeah, let me check. I'll check as we continue going here on the sites and see. It's looking like, let's see here. Yeah, right now the line that I'm looking at is Saints favored by 16.5, which is unheard of for an NFL game. So that's like almost the line that Alabama had against Auburn last night. So, and the money line's minus 1,700 towards the Saints. So the over-under is only 37.
Speaking of, the Falcons might have Steve Sarkisian come back and coach.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. Last night.
But I think that's all that I know of. That's all that's been reported out there as far as COVID goes. I know there's still a lot of tests and stuff still outstanding, I think, that they're waiting on. But we'll keep you updated if we have anything going during the broadcast. We'll just go on to the injuries. We got a lot of big name out this week. We got McCaffrey, of course, out again. Mike Davis is a good play. We'll get to him in the DFS later. Also, Todd Gurley's out, so two big running backs right there. Brian Hill's probably going to be the starter. They may mix in I can't even think of my own team's running back right now. Ito Smith. But Brian Hill's been the guy when Todd Gurley's out of the game. So Other than that, that's really probably DJ Chark is the biggest. DJ Chark is out. Chris Conley's out. So Jags thin at wide receiver. And then John Brown was put on IR this week. I don't know who's going to be the receiver to step up there. Larry Fitzgerald's out. And also Salvin Ahmad. Myles Gaskin we thought was going to be back, but he's not back. So it looks like Matt Breida is going to start after Jordan Howard was cut a few weeks ago. And then also the Niners are without Tevin Coleman and Brandon Ayuk. So a lot of players there, a lot of names. Kind of just hit them all real quick. Anybody that stands out to you right there that may lead to somebody getting more work today? Oh, also I didn't put Adam Thielen on there, I don't think. So he's out. Justin Jefferson could get a lot of volume today.
Yeah, I think it's interesting in that Miami situation because we also have Ryan Fitzpatrick starting. So I'm interested to see how Breida gets used. He's a much different running back, I feel like, than Gaskins and Ahmed. And so he's not really a between the tackles kind of guy. I feel like those guys are more between the tackles. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody else gets into the mix there, whether it's Laird, which is more of a receiving back. Honestly, we could see Washington get a little more run there. So, but it could just be a full out passing game there for Miami. We'll see. I mean, they're going against the Jets, who are not a stout defense at all. So, I think Fitzpatrick and we'll get into the DFS, but Fitzpatrick and Breida may both be decent plays this week on the cheap.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we hit all the injuries there. Not as bad as last week, I don't feel like, in terms of big names, but there are a few there. But yeah, I think, is there any weather related? I didn't see. I was going to talk about that if there was any inclement weather possibly hindering these games.
No, I was looking at the over-unders of the games here. I mean, the only affected over-unders are, as you could expect, usually weather will affect those if they are. I mean, if the weather is affecting the game, it'll affect the over-under. Giants and Bengals, those teams both just stink. That's why the over-under is low. Dolphins and Jets, same. I actually expected Raiders and Falcons line to move a little bit, but with no Julio and no Gurley. It's actually still 53 for the over-under. As far as weather goes, though, I think we're pretty clear there.
Yeah, I just looked at RotoWire's report, and they didn't have all the games were clear or partly cloudy. So
yeah, how do you feel about the Falcons?
Oh yeah, Julio's out too.
This week? Yeah, how do you feel about the Falcons' offense this week with no? And that was a late one. That's why you didn't have it on there, but they just announced that about an hour ago. So how do you feel about the Falcons' offense this week? I mean, it doesn't look like the Raiders can stop anything in general, so not a bad play there. But who are you keying in on as potential breakouts for the Falcons this week with the main guys out?
I think this game is going to be like the line suggests. I think it was one of the highest over-unders of this week when I looked last night.
Yeah, I think it's third on the slate right now. So
I think both defenses are suspect, and I think even without Julio, Matt Ryan has been dealing even without him this year. Alamed Zaccheaus and Russell Gage kind of step up, and then of course they still have Calvin Ridley, and then Todd Gurley's a big blow, obviously, but he hasn't been using the passing game a whole lot. So, and Brian Hill, when he's come in, has looked pretty good. I still expect both these teams to score a lot of points today. So, I've got a couple of the DFS plays suggested later on when we get to those. But I don't think it'd be a bad idea to put a few different players from this game in there.
Yeah, who is your bet for more touches? You think it's Ito Smith or Brian Hill? It seems like Brian Hill's been their fallback guy all year, and he's actually looked good when he's went in. So,
yeah, I definitely expect it to be Brian Hill today.
Yeah, I agreed. Both actually priced the same on DraftKings, so do with that what you will. But yeah, definitely if you're looking to get some big names in there, these are some guys. We'll go over more guys later that you could get in your lineup to save value in DFS. But do you like the Falcons' chances this week against the Raiders? I mean, the Raiders look good against the Chiefs. So
Yeah, I think it's a toss-up this week, really. Like I said, I think this might be one of those games that, like, whoever has the ball last, I really do think it's probably going to be a one-score game with a lot of offense. I could be wrong, but Falcons looked awful last week against the Saints. They got to play them again next week, but I just know we need to get rid of our OC. He's got to go. Dirk Cutter, I don't know why we brought him back, but
yeah, it's funny talking about getting rid of coaches. We haven't talked Thanksgiving games much, looking back, but I think you sent to the group today that Lions fans were thanking Deshaun Watson for demolishing the Lions to get Matt Patricia out of there.
Yeah, donating to his charity.
Definitely a failed experiment there with Patricia coming in. I think when he was with the Patriots, he was their defensive guru. Am I wrong there? And yeah, the Lions have nothing that looks like a defense. So, I mean, when you have Duke Johnson running a sweep to the right, and then he just decides, Deshaun Watson just yells at him to throw the ball back to him, and he bombs it to Will Fuller for a second touchdown. I mean, I think Watson, that was probably his funnest game he's had all year. So, yeah, we'll see what the Lions get. I feel like no matter who the Lions coach is, though, their mantra is always no defense, all Matthew Stafford. So I don't know. We'll see if another coach can actually change that. But looks like you guys will be looking for another coach. The Lions will be looking for another coach. And the Texans will also be looking for another coach. Are there any other coaches that have been fired this year that I'm missing? I don't think so.
There's a few that should be, especially Adam Gase.
Yeah, that's true. But
apparently, Sam Darnold's back this week, and Adam Gase is going back to play calling duty. So
that means Sam Darnold will probably get hurt again this week.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't understand New York. I just don't see how they could let Adam Gase go on this long doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we've got a lot. We got a ton of DFS plays to get to, so I guess we'll just go ahead and start that. Unless anyone's got any questions for their lineups. I'm surprised we don't have more lineup questions this week with playoffs on the line and whatnot. A lot of people playing for bye weeks and all that good stuff. Matt's playing for draft picks. So, yeah,
shout out to all the commissioners out there that lock teams.
Really also, fun. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. Those of you watching, your commissioner, okay, our commissioner has been absolutely ruthless in terms of like telling people to start their optimal lineup, even if they're like out of playoff contention, and if they're playing a potential playoff team, they can't sit their players, they can't start backups or whatever. How do you guys feel about this? If someone's fielding a lineup, do you care? I mean, do you care as long as they're fielding a lineup, or do you hate people for kind of sandbagging and just playing for draft picks at the end of the year? I can understand if someone's just completely like sitting players.
Here's my thing to it. And not everyone's league's the same. I would say a lot of leagues out there, they just do random draft picks before the year. The setup of our league is unique to where the worse you finish, you get first pick of. If you finish last place, you can pick any of the 1 through 16 draft pick the following year. And if the rules are in place before the year that allow for that to be, there's no, yes, maybe it's etiquette or whatever, but I mean, when it comes to fantasy football, it's like, you gotta look out for yourself, I think. And as long as you're not benching your whole team and you're fielding players, I think it's fine. Obviously, our commissioner feels differently, but I mean, if I want to start, Mr. Hinton over Tom Brady, why can't I?
Yeah. So for those of you watching, and just listen to our rant, please chime in and comment how you guys feel about that. We just had to vent, so we'll get on to the DFS plays here. We'll start with the quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks I like this week. If you want to pay up, Josh Allen, 7,600 playing the Chargers. Their defense has been awful against quarterbacks. They're without they're without, is it Casey Hayward, their corner? And then they're also without a linebacker. So even more reason to start Josh Allen. But 7,600 is a lot to spend on quarterback, and you can get other options like Matt Ryan at 5,900, Derek Carr at 5,700, and then my personal favorite this week, Ron Fitzpatrick in a revenge game against the Jets for 5,500. So are there any quarterbacks you like better than that, or how do you feel about those four?
Before you jump into that, Kendall Hinton is officially starting for the Broncos, but he is not available to start in DFS, at least on DraftKings. I don't know about FanDuel, but
FanDuel was the Wild West. They probably just they had Taysom Hill tied in, so I mean
that's true. Other news there: Taysom Hill on ESPN, where he was eligible for tight end, now only QB. So if you have Taysom Hill in your tight end spot still from last week, you need to change that. I'm trying to look here. In the last game against the Jets, Fitzpatrick honestly wasn't that great. He was 190 passing yards and 3 touchdowns with 2 picks. But I mean,
his last start this year, though, didn't he have like 4 touchdowns or something or more?
That was his last start. Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
I think he's going to be good and pissed off after he got sat for Tua. He's coming out to prove something today.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see for sure. I think value play wise, I think he's great for DFS. I mean, he's down there with some of the cheaper guys at quarterback. Obviously, probably not the safest play in DFS, but if you want to pivot off guys like, I can see a lot of people starting Herbert against Buffalo because that's supposed to be a high-scoring game. Josh Allen, the other quarterback in that game. I can see a lot of people going back to Taysom Hill after what he did last week, but he's kind of pricey. Last week it was just cheap, so you got the value there. So honestly, I can see people starting Derek Carr a lot. I like him at 5,700. He's only 200 more than Fitzpatrick, and he's, had a bad game 2 weeks ago, but last week looked good against Kansas City. So unless you see something much improved to the Falcons defense that I don't know about because I don't follow them as religiously as you do, but do you see Derek Carr putting up numbers against Atlanta?
I mean, I've said that, almost every week about a quarterback against our defense, and then it seems to always not go that way. But I think, like I said, today it should be different. I think both quarterbacks are good plays this week.
And apparently Jalen Hurts is expected to get more run. He's not the full-time starter, or I think he would be a recommended play because he's going against Seattle. And so who did they finally say was starting for Cincinnati? Brandon Allen?
Yeah.
But I mean, he's going against the Giants. I'm still not recommending starting him. I would recommend a pivot off of – we'll get to defense later, but talking about Brandon Allen, you could pivot to the Giants, who are a little bit cheaper. Might be a good play against Brandon Allen. So a lot of interesting ways you could go. But quarterback, I think you're most upside cheap play is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm with you there. We have a question that came in there from Ben Brown. It says Benny Snell or Malcolm Brown at flex and PPR. I'm still going to go with my suggestion of, we don't know how Benny Snell is going to be. We don't even know if they're going to play. So I would go Malcolm Brown, although Malcolm Brown's not exciting either. So what do you think?
I'm going Benny Snell if you're willing to risk it.
Yeah, I mean, Malcolm Brown, if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's going to get like 3 points. So, I mean, you're not risking much by not starting Malcolm Brown, I guess.
That leads us into the next DFS position here, running back. And there's one running back above all of them that I'm willing to pay for, and it's Dalvin Cook. And even though he's 9,500, that is a ton to pay for a running back, but we've seen Dalvin Cook. He might be the best running back, certainly in fantasy right now. He might be the best running back in the league right now. One thing here from Ben Brown before. Alternative to those is Hollywood. Don't like that either.
Yeah, I'd rather have Benny Snell than Hollywood.
Yeah. But yeah, Dalvin Cook, 9,500, still willing to pay for him. He's playing Carolina. No Adam Thielen today. Could get all the run that they want to give him. So,
yeah.
You think it's crazy to pay up for him or no?
No, I mean, if we look at his price over the past several weeks, I mean, he has gone up every week. When he came back from injury, he was 7,500. Week after that, 82. 2 weeks ago, 87. Last week, 9,000. And now 9,500. This is where pivoting at a different position that's, can really help. Like drafting a, Fitzpatrick and then going elsewhere to a different position. So, but it is difficult. I will say it is difficult to make a balanced lineup this week with Dalvin Cook in there. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So, he may score the equivalent of 2 players. But if he only gives you like 25 points, which is what he gave us last week, I believe, 29 points. And then 2 weeks ago, he gave us 15 points. So if he gives you honestly below 30 points, which is possible, I mean, if he doesn't fall into the end zone more than once, then you're not getting that much value at the 9,500 price tag. So do that what you will, I guess. But it's just really hard to make a balanced lineup with him being that expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot to pay, but I don't know if it's worth it or not. It's always hard for me to start the big guys in DK for football. I'm always willing to start the superstars in NBA DK, but it's always tough for me to. But I feel like every time I don't and somebody else does in especially our league contest, I always regret it. And it always burns me. So, but some other alternatives, if you don't want to pay for running back, Mike Davis is a really good one for 6,900 without McCaffrey playing Minnesota. He's been really good this year by himself. It's made me and Matt question whether McCaffrey's a system running back. Obviously, McCaffrey is more talented, but Mike Davis still against Minnesota's defense and in this offense, 6,900. I'm willing to pay for him.
Yeah, I like him as a play for sure. And as we look through, people at that price range, I think Davis does have the greatest upside, especially given Minnesota's defense. Teddy Bridgewater's back, so a little more familiarity there in that offense. I like Mike Davis a lot. Next guy you have on the list, you have Gio Bernard, who was was questionable, I think, all week. Joe Mixon's out again. We don't know what's up with Joe Mixon. He had like that 40-point game. He had a couple solid games after that, and then he's been dealing with injuries ever since. So what's exciting to you about Gio? Is he someone who, as we get down the list here, there's some guys at 4,000 who are appealing, maybe more appealing than Gio Bernard, especially given the situation with Brandon Allen at quarterback. So, are you confident starting him DFS or in your lineups in fantasy this week, or does that Brandon Allen under center give you too much concern?
Yeah, I knew Gio was questionable, and I had him just in there for his price for 5,700. But yeah, I keep forgetting about the Burrow stuff and that their running back is or their quarterback situation is bad. Probably wouldn't go Gio. I mean, if you want to take a gamble, it's up to you. But I like Brian Hill for 4,000 better. And then I don't know what other options you've got at 4,000 besides Ito Smith, but Brian Hill for 4,000 is almost can't pass up. I don't know.
Yeah, and another guy I wanted to talk about before we get to a couple other guys at that kind of low price range value is – let me pull his price here. Hang on a second. Mostert coming back. He's only 5,600 and going against the Rams, who are kind of, they're kind of middle of the pack as far as run defense goes. But is that backfield too crowded for you? Tevin Coleman's out. Wilson Jr. is actually back, I believe, as well. So Mostert's been solid when we've seen him play. And compared to, where we usually see his price out when he's healthy around 6,400. Do you think that he's someone who you could pivot to that could be an upside player? Or do you still like guys like Brian Hill better than him since he is coming back from injury?
I still like Brian Hill better. Even I just don't like that 49ers backfield that much, especially with Mullins playing quarterback and then them playing the Rams. Just not somebody I can trust, Mostert or any of those Niners running backs. I played McKinnon, a few times this year. One time it worked, and then the rest of the time it has not done well for me. So,
yeah, and there's re-injury risk is the thing. It's crowded. I mean, McKinnon's still there. If Jeff Wilson's back, it's just going to be – it might be a mess. So, I don't even know who's starting there this week. Is it Beathard still, or are we going somewhere? Are they going a different direction?
I thought it was Mullins, but it may not be.
Yeah, it is Mullins. So, I don't know. It's just pretty tough for me. So, I would steer clear of that backfield for this week, just see how it shakes out. And then some guys I want to talk about also coming back. We have Austin Eckler coming back. We have Jonathan Taylor out. So there's several people that, we have Nyheim Hines that could get extra run. We have Jordan Wilkins who could get extra run. Obviously, Eckler's back. So anyone that was thinking about starting Pope or Josh Kelly probably going away from them now. So how do you feel about Eckler coming back from injury? And then on the flip side, how do you feel about Hines and Wilkins prospects? I think they're about in the 4,000-ish range as well. So see, Wilkins is 4,000 and then Hines is 4,600, I believe. Yeah. So out of those guys, how are you feeling with those COVID and injury situation?
I actually like Hines a good bit this week, especially in PPR leagues and DK's PPR. So Hines is one I like a lot. I can't really trust Wilkins. Eckler was one that I was going to ask about because I have him in one league coming back, and it's just hard to sit some of these other guys I have for his first week back against Buffalo. I just don't know that they're going to give him a full workload yet. I could be wrong, but because I think they were a little hesitant to even bring him back, judging on the things I saw coming from the coach. And they just now activated him today. So I don't know. It's a tough call on those guys.
Yeah, Eckler is, he's been on my IR in both leagues all year, unfortunately, it seems like. And so I think he is going to get run. I think Anthony Lynn, it's always hard to know what he's going to do, but I definitely think that if he's looking good out there, if he's, got his legs back under him, that he's going to get a pretty big workload. If you have him, I'm starting him, but I'm not starting him in DFS. So,
yeah, and we got one question coming in from Mike here. Who, if anyone, are you willing to start from Baltimore? I'm not willing to start anybody.
Yeah, I'm not starting anybody there. Not even the defense.
I mean, I thought maybe Andrews, but now that he's out, nobody. He said, also, are you up or down on the Denver weapons? Definitely down. There's nobody, maybe Melvin Gordon, but I don't even.
Yeah, I could see the running backs being just a volume play here as a flex play. Judy, no. Fant is probably I think you kind of default to the tight ends whenever you have somebody new coming in there, just because they're usually the safety valve, them and the running backs. And so if you don't have a better tight end option, I could see Fant being starting Fant. But otherwise, it's kind of a Hail Mary if you start one of these guys.
Yeah, so fade all Broncos, fade all Ravens, I think.
Yep, agreed. How do you feel about, though, Hinton starting him in your flex position? We kind of mentioned it a little bit early in the show, but now that he's confirmed, the starting QB, whatever role that's going to look like today, this dude's had one day to practice being a quarterback again.
We talked about it earlier. There's a lot of, if I'm in comfortable position for playoffs, I'm willing to do it, but it's tough to sit some of these guys. There's one league I'm legit debating sitting Mike Evans to do it. But against the Saints defense, even if this guy is playing quarterback, how much does he actually score? He's not played quarterback in how many years? I don't even know how long he's been in the league or on a practice squad.
Yeah, I think it's just been a couple of years, and he wasn't even that good of a quarterback at Wake Forest, so it's tough for sure. But the upside is intriguing, though. You can't deny it.
Yeah, if you're in a spot where you can do it, do it. But if you're,
it's like when who was that guy a few years ago for the Joe Webb? It's kind of that situation, except because Joe Webb was converted wide receiver. I can't remember. Let me see if I can find how he did in that game. Obviously, it has no correlation, but it'd be fun to, just see.
I remember correctly, he didn't do well at all because wasn't our commissioner like the one that played him, and he was geeking out about it all week, and then he ended up with like less than 10 points.
Yeah, hold on, let me see if I can pull it up here. I think it was in 2011. Let me pull it up and see how he did. But, it is basically the same situation. Obviously not exactly the same. So he started in week 8 of 2011 against the Detroit Lions, and he went 12 for 23, so 52% completion, 84 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and then he actually ran 7 times for 109 yards and a touchdown. So, if you can get that out of Hinton, then that's a pretty solid game right there. But I don't know what kind of runner Hinton is. We'll see, I guess. But
he's going to be running for his life against that Saints defense. We'll go and get to the wide receivers. Calvin Ridley for 7,100. With Julio out, maybe it's worth it. It's a lot to pay for a wide receiver, I guess. Not really though. When we're talking about paying $9,500 for Dalvin Cook at running back. So, Calvin Ridley with the volume could be worth it. Justin Jefferson's another one without Adam Thielen though, 6,300. Even though Carolina's secondary has been better than Oakland's, Justin Jefferson, I think it's going to be more of Dalvin Cook's show. But if they do throw it to anybody, they're throwing it to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and I think we had a question earlier in the show about Kyle Rudolph or Tanyan. I don't know. With no Thielen, I would have leaned Tanyan there. I forgot about Thielen at the time. So,
you mean Rudolph?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, Rudolph. So,
yeah, I was kind of thinking the same, but it's just I don't know. It's hard to trust tight end in that. Of course, it's hard to trust Tanyan too because he could have 1 point or 35. Beat you on a Monday night like you did me.
It's okay. You got retribution with that Lockett game.
DJ Moore is another one I like against Minnesota, 6,200. So both wide receivers in that game I like. And then Devontae Parker for 5,900. So little Ron Fitzpatrick, Devontae Parker stack.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's a bad idea. Parker's not too expensive. He's at 5,900. Last week he put up 6 for 61 and a touchdown. Definitely been up and down, but when Fitzpatrick was in, I mean, he went 8 points week 1, but then he went 16, 11, 24, and 13. And, if you can get that out of a 5,900 player, you're not going to be too sad. So,
yeah, I mean, combined, you're only paying a little over $10,000 for him and Ron Fitzpatrick. So,
yep.
Got one question coming in here: Melvin Gordon or Jacoby Myers?
Oh,
I guess I don't know because isn't N'Keal Harry back and Damiere Byrd's been the only viable wide receiver?
Yeah, Jacoby Myers hasn't really been. It's kind of like a flavor of the week situation there in New England. I think it's crazy, but I may be leaning Melvin right here just based off he may have to be quite involved. But what do you think?
I'm about to look at Jacoby Myers had 3 targets last week, 14 targets 3 weeks ago, 7 targets 2 weeks ago. Oh, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
that's tough. I think Jacoby Myers obviously has the higher upside this week.
Yeah. And they are playing Arizona, which means he could get a lot of Patrick Peterson, though. Yeah. Coin flip, I guess.
If anyone's getting Patrick Peterson, it's probably going to be Damiere Byrd, which is, I mean, weird to say, but.
Yeah, I'm fine with Jacoby Myers because, I mean, I'm not even starting Melvin Gordon, so I'm not really going to recommend him.
Yeah, that was tougher than it should have been.
Yeah.
These are the questions, These are the things, especially in these playoff-defining games. Is there a chance Melvin will play a little bit of quarterback? I have no idea.
Well, the only thing that I could see is Wildcat. He's not going to throw the ball. I know that. But,
as soon as you say that, he's going to have like 2 touchdowns today. Throwing the ball.
Nah, he's not going to throw the ball. Von Miller was actually saying he was ready for, he was ready to come in and be, Von Elway. So,
yeah, and even the Broncos reached out to the Nuggets about Jokic, and they were like, "He available today?" It's just ironic too because the Broncos, like John Elway, has been drafting so many quarterbacks, and then they're in this situation where they literally have no quarterbacks that they can play right now. The irony in that situation is just great to me. I guess we got to hit tight end defense still in DFS. Darren Waller, if I'm not going Travis Kelce against, I mean, I don't love Kelsey's matchup, but you got to love Travis Kelce every week because it seems like he's the only one that ever scores double digits each week. But Darren Waller against Atlanta for 6,000, I think he's like 1,100 more or 1,100 cheaper than Kelce or something like that. So Darren Waller's a guy I like. Mike Gesicki against the Jets for 4,300 is another one I like. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I think stacking quarterback and tight end in DFS is usually not a bad idea. So if I'm going Fitzpatrick, I'm probably leaning Gesicki, but there's tight ends that are cheaper that I like better, I think. I mean, Hunter Henry's been playing really well, and he's cheaper than Waller and Kelce, obviously. Just a little bit more expensive than Gesicki. But, I mean, Hunter Henry, great matchup, and he's getting, he's had 6+ targets in 4 of the last 5 games, 3 of those games being 7 targets. So he's got some good upside there. I don't really like Goddard this week because I feel like they'll be throwing to receivers a lot against Seattle. Hayden Hurst is playing this week, and he's only 3,900. That could be a good option. So I think Jordan Reed's active this week as well. A lot of good options, I think, tied into somewhere where you can for sure save money. So I don't know. I've never been one to pay way up for someone like Travis Kelce. I can see where you might want to. I've also never wanted to draft Travis Kelce, so that may be my problem. But yeah, I'd say my biggest value play is probably going to be someone like Tanyan, or maybe even a Trey Burton. So I don't know. I like to be able to save money at tight end. You never know who's gonna score week to week. So,
well, it's usually Travis Kelce.
Yeah, but he's 7,000. That's like the same as trying to fit Dalvin Cook in your lineup. Makes it real difficult.
Well, I'm probably doing it. So, so the Saints and the Giants defense, I don't think there's any other defense you can play this week. Before we get to that, one more question. Is Eckler a must play now over Chubb? No. I like Chubb against Jacksonville a lot better than I like playing Eckler and trusting him this week against Buffalo.
Yeah. I guess if those are your only options, I mean, didn't you draft Eckler in like the 2nd round or something? I mean, anybody worse than Chubb you can sit for Eckler.
Yeah, I mean,
nice, buddy.
I mean, usually you can start both of those. I don't know who else you have in right now, but I definitely would play Chubb over him today. But yeah, there's not any other defense. Saints and Giants. Saints are 3,800. Giants are 3,200. I mean, unless you want to play, who are the Jets playing again? The Dolphins. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to play the Dolphins defense is the highest, most expensive defense this week. So you can do that if you want, but I wouldn't.
No.
I would go Giants or Saints. And if you want to save money, go Giants. But I think the safest play, obviously, with the low ceiling, is going to be the Saints. I mean, of course, Brandon Allen should provide the Giants with a couple opportunities for turnovers and stuff, but he could come out, and do decent, whereas the Broncos don't even have a viable quarterback. So,
yeah. I'm only going Saints or Giants in this one.
And apparently they picked Eckler off waivers, so kudos to you because whoever. I guess maybe they didn't have an IR spot or someone just got tired of holding them. I don't know. But
yeah, that's yeah, I don't know why someone dropped Eckler. That's pretty silly. You guys know IR spots. You need to talk to your league commissioner about changing that.
yeah, it took, over 10 years to get our spots in our main league. So, well, that about sums up all the DFS plays, I think. Now is part of the show where we just sit here and agonize over our starting decisions or mistakes we've made throughout this fantasy season.
Yeah, and I think even with all this DFS stuff, I mean, it's different. I think, I don't know, it's different with DFS whether you're doing GPP like tournament style or if you're doing cash games. Like we do more cash, I would say. We have a league that we do about 12 people every week. And those you're kind of going for more volume play. You want guys that are, like we did a Thanksgiving one and Deshaun Watson was 100% owned. While it seems like, oh, we should have pivoted on that one, no, because Deshaun Watson scored the most points at quarterback that week, and that was in that slate, and that was pretty easy to see that coming. So in cash, you're wanting guys that are, you may pivot here or there, but you're not looking for the random guy that goes way off that week. You want guys that are more, maybe higher owned, especially because that usually means they're projected to score the highest amount of points. But you also want guys that are going to get volume as far as in their game. So, guys like James Robinson, while not a sexy play, has a lot of touchdown upside because he gets a lot of carries. Devontae Parker, we talked about him. They don't have Preston Williams, so he's going to get a lot of run. So, yeah, I would say our suggestions are definitely based more off, I don't know, I would say we lean more cash just because that's what we play more. But the guys we're talking about pivoting, that's more when it comes to tournament play. So just wanted to give that disclaimer. Yeah, as far as lineup goes, I mean, I don't know, you have any decisions you're fretting over right now? Not that you want to take my lowly advice based on my record in the league, but
I'm just reading the comments on the Yahoo player profile on Hinton. People are like, one guy's sitting here asking if he should start him over Ridley. Like, people are trying to start him over all kinds of people, which I just don't think is
not over Ridley, that's for sure.
I mean, this is like a standard or not standard league, but I think it's half point PPR. I'm debating sitting Devontae Parker or Justin Jefferson for him, but I just don't think I want to.
Yeah, I was thinking Zach Ertz, I guess, is not back yet. So I was thinking he was going to be back this week. I was going to mention him.
I think I just want to play it safe in this league because I'm projected to beat the guy, so I don't want to get too cute and then he score like 3 points. I also have Chris Carson in this league, and I don't trust him this week, although they're already saying he's active, so I don't know. Playing Philly.
I mean, while I'm over here just deciding if I should bet any games, so because I think we don't talk about betting much, but how do you feel about? I mean, for me, I'm debating taking an over/under on the Chargers and the Bills game because I think that's going to be a high-scoring affair. It's at 51.5.
See, I don't know. Herbert has scored a ton every week.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel as strongly that it's going to be as high scoring as you say. I could be wrong. This league, I have Keenan Allen and Eckler. I'm not sure I want to start both of them.
You can give one on to me.
I'd have to sit Mike Evans.
Oh, we got a question coming in from Timothy Park. He says, Lazard or Myers? Myers got nothing last week. I'm really stuck between the two. Yeah, let me look here. I know Valdez-Scantling was questionable.
Yeah, I'd go Lazard if Valdez-Scantling's out.
We don't know, though, because they played tonight. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think I like Lazard better between the two. I think last week with Lazard, he didn't do anything last week either, but he was just coming back from surgery. So I like Lazard better between those two. I believe.
Too. I like Lazard better. Oh, man. My opponent in the main league has one Tuesday night player, one Monday night player, one Sunday night player, I think. Antonio Diaz says risk Big Ben or play Teddy Bridgewater. I like Teddy Bridgewater's matchup better.
Yeah, I think I'll go Teddy
I'd roll him out. Because even if that game happens Tuesday, it's probably going to be low scoring. Steelers should take care of it pretty easily. But also, Baltimore does have a better defense than Minnesota, so I need Josh Allen to score like 50 today.
Good luck. Yeah, I'm just struggling to find a way to fit in Dalvin Cook into these lineups.
Well, I did it. There's my secret.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be smart, but who knows? Might be.
Yeah, I think actually
I think there's only one more spot in that DK that we do.
Yeah, well, I already reserved a spot, but
you want to see my lineup?
Nah, I know it's going to be a loser.
I'm going to make it where you can't see it.
Can't see it anyway, too bright. I need to set a lineup here quick, though, because we're about to lock.
See if my camera will focus.
It's about to lock.
There you get a little silhouette of the top four. I think you know who the top two were. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, when I looked at my overall lineup after paying for Dalvin Cook, it made me second guess, but I don't know.
All right, we're locking it in.
I'm guessing you're starting Ryan Fitzpatrick also?
No.
Starting Derek Carr?
No.
Well, I overpaid for running back and tight end. Oh, we had Ben Brown ask a question. I didn't see that. Saints defense plus Burton or Bengals defense and Goddard? Definitely Saints defense. And definitely I would – Ertz is supposed to be – well, actually, he's not back. I would go Goddard just because they're playing – I know Seattle's been okay against tight ends, but their secondary's been bad overall, so probably go Goddard over Burton. I think the volume's better.
All right. Locked in the lineup and hate it, so that's exciting.
All right. Well, 1 minute till kickoff. Good luck to everyone. I'm going to go turn on the Falcons game and Red Zone and hope I get this bye week.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you good luck, but I'm a man scorned in that league, so I'll be watching from afar.
Oh!
All right, it's been fun, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. We have a Sit and Star article coming out Thursday morning, I believe. It's going to come out Thursday this week. He says I can only do Saints plus Burton or Seattle plus Goddard. Okay, Saints plus Burton.
Based on price. Okay, DFS. Do Saints Burton then. Hurry quick.
Yeah, going to be a interesting week here, but we'll see as far as the Steelers go on Tuesday. If you follow us on Twitter at QB List, you can see or is it at the QB List? I should know that.
Let me just put it up here and we'll see.
We'll have some. There you go. At the QB List, we'll have some updates as far as that game goes, and be looking forward to this next week. So it's been fun, Aaron, and I'll see you. Well, we'll be talking on the group chat, but see you on here next week.
All right, everyone. See ya. Good luck.